I am joined by the great Alex Wassabi, one half of the main event of Showstar Boxing's debut at Wembley Arena. This is a massive fight and one that has been coming for quite a while. Tell me how you feel to finally have it in writing and have it confirmed that you are fighting Deji.
Oh, I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this for so long. And it's finally happened. He's finally got the courage to accept the fight against me.
You have, of course, been around the YouTube boxing scene for a while. We've seen you a few times in different videos and different whatever. But for example, we have a list of YouTube boxers with records. You're not on the list because you haven't had an official YouTube boxing fight. You've had a lot of sparring sessions, a lot of videos that have gone out. Are you excited to finally get to do this on the main stage where nobody can edit it, nobody can make it look a particular way, and you get to show your skills finally?
Yes, I'm so excited. The only things out online right now are my first couple spars I've ever had. And everybody's like, you lost your first couple spars. But who wins their first couple spars? When you're sparring, you're supposed to spar people that are better than you so you can get better for when you fight. Even though I don't believe that the people I sparred are better than me, they were a lot heavier and I was just beginning. I didn't know weight classes and stuff. So I think I'm going to surprise a lot of people.
Let's talk about the first one that's like known on the internet is the famous one with Fuzi, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because anybody who knows boxing, if they cut the footage right at when he lands that big right hand, there's no doubt who the better fighter is.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not Fuzi. Did that frustrate you when it came out the way it did?
It was frustrating, but Fuzi's my boy, and I always got his back. Even and he asked me, he made sure I was okay with posting that, and I was like, yeah, man, you have a fight in 2 weeks. It'll be really good for your promotions. It's not a big deal. It was my first spar ever. You were way heavier than me. It's not a surprise that you were able to knock me out. But prior to that, I'd never sparred before. I never had any fight training. I've hit mitts and I kind of knew what I was supposed to do. But also he's one of my best friends. So I'm not going to try to knock him out on camera 2 weeks before his first fight debut. So I assumed that we weren't going to go as hard as he went. But after I beat him in the first round, I think he just let it get to him, and then he swung hard. And when you're first starting, when you first started sparring, it's hard to manage your power. So when I'm sparring, I don't spar new people because they're just rah, rah, and they're wild. So I'm always sparring pros now, and they know when to turn it up, when to be aggressive. They know to work with me and help sharpen my skills. So yeah, that first one, that was rough.
And you've been going about it the kind of the right way. I remember when the Paul brothers started, they kind of went about it the right way too, where they got a coach who's known for getting guys from beginner to Golden Gloves level, as opposed to someone like KSI or Gibb or people like that. They got in a coach who basically was going to teach them how to win a white collar boxing match, which isn't particularly difficult at the beginner level. If you're really fit and you can just have a more output and this huge big headgear on, it doesn't really matter what your technique is like, which Gibb found out right when he fought Jake, that he wasn't quite at the level he thought he was at. And it seems to me like you're doing it the right way, right? Like you started training a few years ago and you are now 2 or 3 years later getting to show it on the big stage with no headgear in an official fight.
Yeah, I started, I guess I started, you could say I started 3 years ago, but for the first 2 years, it was more for fitness.
Right.
My main goal when I first started boxing was just to be the person in my friend group or the person in my family that could protect everybody if something happened, because I just thought that was important. I was like, man, nobody in my family knows any combat skills. And I was like, oh man, I'm just going to do this because it's a good workout. I want to be able to protect everybody, protect myself if it's ever needed. And then I just became obsessed and I just never stopped. And people are like, oh, you just dabble in it. You just hit the mitts every once in a while. Yeah. I haven't gone a week without boxing in over 3 years. But this year, or the beginning, in the
2021.
Yeah, and this year is when I started stepping it up and started training for actual fighting, and not just fitness. So I would say it's more like a year I've been training.
Is the plan now to pursue this as something of a career, right? So you're going to headline Wembley Arena. This is a huge deal. Anthony Joshua just headlined Wembley Arena recently enough, you know, during the pandemic. This is where the big names come to go. Michael Venom Page is headlining, I believe, a couple of weeks after you in Bellator. This is a huge, big venue. Is the plan to parlay this into bigger fights and to go around to get a homecoming fight in the States, to go to Dubai? Because there seems to be a lot of promotions doing these YouTuber fights now.
Yeah. Well, honestly, my plan is to box this entire year, all the way up until 2023. I want to box, dedicate my life to boxing. I don't do anything but boxing, recovery, massages, stretches, whatever, all that stuff. I just want to dedicate my life to boxing because I don't want to like pass up on this opportunity. Who gets this opportunity in their life? My first fight ever. I've never had any amateur fights, no pro fights, nothing. And now I get to fight at Wembley. Like, I'm not going to pass that up. Like, so many people in the world would want this opportunity. So I'm just excited that I finally get a chance to get in there, and I want to do it for the rest of the year. So if anybody wants to fight me, you got a year to do it.
Was getting to perform at Wembley. This is a thing that a lot of people, you know, in the entertainment business, I suppose, see as a big opportunity. In boxing, certainly. And I would imagine that the venue is significant for you, right? That you get to, you know, get out there in such a historic venue.
Yeah, the venue is amazing. I looked it up. I believe it's the second biggest stadium or arena in all of UK. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. It's big. It's definitely it's historic. Yeah, it's a place that I was just there for a concert a couple of months ago. It's a pretty special place. You could feel the energy when you walk in there.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm honored to be able to perform there and give it my all in the boxing ring. But honestly, I'm just excited to box. I don't care if it was a small arena, big arena. I'm just excited to get in the ring finally.
When you saw the fight poster and when you saw Deji's most recent couple of videos, did you think, oh gosh, I wish I was fighting the guy who fought Vinny or the guy who fought Jake, as opposed to this new shredded dude?
Man, I've always wanted to box Deji. It's just unfortunate that now I'm not just boxing Deji. I'm boxing the YouTuber with the worst boxing record on the entire platform. That's crazy. But I still think it's going to be very competitive. I think he learned from his mistakes. I thought he learned from the Jake Paul fight, and then his redemption was supposed to be the Deji fight. I mean, the Vinny fight.
Yeah. So
this is a kind of a redemption to his redemption. So we'll see what he can do.
It seems like both of you guys have a kind of a chip on your shoulder, right? Because it's like, I would imagine that whoever loses would find it very difficult to convince a promoter to put them on again.
No, I think if he loses, I really want him to continue boxing because it's obvious that he loves it. He loves the sport. He just underestimated the work that was going to go into it. I want him to continue on. Just because he loses his first 3 fights doesn't mean, like, people have done that and then they win the next 20 fights, and he can do it. I don't know if he has enough time, if he had enough time to beat me. I think his biggest problem was a lot of these YouTubers that are winning and doing great are really good at picking their opponents. Like Jake. Right. Jake's really good at picking his opponents. They're a little bit retired. They're a little bit older. They're very experienced, but they're nowhere near their prime. Not taking anything away from Jake. Jake's awesome. Like, he's killing it. But and then, like, that's just how it goes. And I think Deji is. I think he chose well with Vinny. Like, he should have beat Vinny, and I believe he did beat Vinny. He just gassed out. But I think he made a horrible decision with me. I think he let all his fans and his brother talking down to me, and he convinced himself that I'm not a boxer. But I guarantee you, I've boxed more than Deji. I've been training, and I didn't even have a fight. I guarantee in his first 2 camps, I trained more than he did, and I didn't even have a fight coming up.
Keemstar has said that you two have been in the ring before at a very low level when you were just starting. Is that true?
No, we were never in the ring. We were I didn't know him very well, but I was friends with Ricedom at the time, and I was over at his house. And there was a bunch of YouTubers over there, and I forgot why, but I had a bunch of, like, karate boards that you punch, like, that you punch through. Yeah. And Rice was like, yo, man, I got my boys here. His name's Deji. He'd love to punch some of these boards for his video. I was like, okay, cool. So I brought the boards and I was like, yo, what's up, man? I'm Alex. He's like, I'm Deji. And then he punched the boards. And I can't remember if we were like having beef yet. I think me and his brother were kind of talking back and forth, but it wasn't anything serious yet. And then he was like, yo, let's spar just body shots. And I was like, okay. And I've never even picked up gloves before in my life at that point. So then we both looked horrible. If you look it up, you can find like, it's like, I think it's over 3 years ago, and we're doing horribly. And we're both like, we're both way better than that now.
For sure. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. I wanted to ask about as well, another report that Keemstar had made was, and he of course knows everything, right? He's never wrong about anything, is he?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But another report he had made was that you were considered the backup. So if Deji couldn't find someone else he preferred, does that piss you off a little bit?
That is the most bogus thing I've ever heard in my life. I was like, what do you mean I'm the backup? You're 0-2, bro. Who's not going to want to fight you for a bag? How are you going to try to use that as an excuse? That makes no sense. He's like, oh, I can't fight. Nobody wants to fight me because everybody's scared of fighting an 0-2 fighter. What? That makes no sense. Anybody would have been down to fight him. He's just trying to put me down again, as Deji does. So I thought that was such a dumb reasoning.
Will you continue to act as well when the boxing match is done? I saw you had a great little cameo in iCarly. I thought was great in the reboot. Yeah. Will you continue your acting career after this is done?
I wouldn't really say like I have that much of an acting career. I've done like cameos. So I've done some Disney cameos, some Nickelodeon cameos. I've done a lot of voice acting for Nickelodeon and some other things. And I love doing that. Voice acting is another one of my passions, but yeah, I'm definitely not going to stop. I'm completely focused on this boxing match now. I've turned down a bunch of brand deals because I don't want to take away time from training, and I'm like, no, I don't want to put that stress on me. I'm focused. I got to do this. Like, all my time is dedicated to boxing, waking up, eating, making weight, recovery, boxing, training, road work, everything. I've probably spent over half the bag I'm gonna make on training already in the last 4 months.
Wow. That's that's something you hear a lot of the championship level boxers say. That's something that I was at Teofimo Lopez's last fight. He said he spent a huge amount of the purse he was going to make for training. Dillian White has said it before. This is something that the real top tier fighters do. They invest in themselves as fighters to make sure that they're guaranteed to win.
Yeah, man, I'm not in it for the money. I want to do everything right. I want to show this sport the respect it deserves, and I'm. It's not about the money for me, and I'm sure it's not about the money for Deji. We're both in it for the pride and just proving to people and to ourselves what we can do and what we're capable of.
When you see him train in that video he just put out, did you watch it first off?
Yeah, I did.
What do you garner from that? Because a lot of people say that he's not going to have the coach to kick him when he quits two seconds towards the end in a real boxing match. Do you take some bit of solace from seeing it and seeing like he's fit, he's in good shape, but his mindset may be an issue?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when everything he puts out, it makes me like, everybody has nerves before a fight. Even Mike Tyson said he cried before every fight, even in his later end of his career. And like, I was like starting to feel those nerves. I was like, oh, once the announcement came out, I was like, oh, it's happening. It's real now. Oh, here we go. This is what I've been training for. I'm ready. And then every single time he puts something out, it makes me less and less nervous. And I'm like, dang, especially that last one. Why would he put that out? I don't know why he would put that out. He quit over and over and over and over. I'm assuming he was trying to show that he is pushing through adversity, or he's like not gonna give up, but he did give up. Every like 10 seconds in that video, he gave up. And I'm like, yo, we're less than 2 months from the fight. Why are you gassing out? Why are you not mentally strong? My advice to him would be to get a sports psychologist. I think he needs to work more on the mind. He's pushing his body, but his mind is just not where it needs to be. Like, especially in the Vinny fight, right? He took a knee without getting hit after he had a whole minute of resting, right?
Yeah.
And then he got up, they gave him the whatever count, and then he started swinging. He started going hard again. And I was like, if you had that energy, why would you take the knee? That's your mind. That's his mindset. It's all mental with him. And it's hard to talk about it because I want this to be a good fight. I would rather win by decision than win by first round knockout, because I want this to be an epic battle. This is my first fight. I don't want to just win, or like, I guess that'd be cool, but I want it to be something I earned. So if he mentally sabotages himself, it's going to be a tough victory for me.
Before you ever started training boxing, you've been an athletic guy. I know from watching your videos, you've always been in good shape, and obviously Deji's, fluctuated a little bit, and he's gotten into good shape for fights, and he's gotten out of shape and all of that. And do you think that the stuff you've done just to keep your body and mind right way before this boxing thing ever happened, 14, 15, like when you were doing like YouTube videos every day, and you have to grind, you have to be in shape, is that going to stand to you? The kind of things that are way before you guys ever trained, that mentally, how it feels to be at the absolute, what's the right word? To be at the lowest point and be able to power through.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been fit. I don't know why. It's not like for looks or anything. I've just always been drawn to working. Like, oh, let's work. I want to do physical work. And all the time, even in high school, I would train before football season or basketball season or track season or whatever season comes up. They let you train for a few months and then you try out. And so I would train with the basketball team for 3 months. And then when the time came to try out, I wouldn't try out because I just wanted the free workouts. So after school, I would tell my parents, hey, pick me up like 3 hours later. I'm going to be in the gym. And then after basketball season was over, football season, I work out with the football players for 3 months. And then I didn't try out. And the coach would always say, yo, why are you not trying out? And I told my dad, I was like, Dad, I just want to work out. So I'm going to tell them that you won't let me. And he's like, okay, cool. And so I would tell the coach, oh, my dad won't let me. He said I got to focus on school. And they're like, oh, okay. So I've always found a way to work out. I've worked out multiple times to the point where I was either crying, throwing up, or passing out. And I guarantee Deji hasn't done that once.
Right.
Like, I love being fit. And I saw some fans of Deji's posting saying, oh, being fit your whole life doesn't matter. Joe Weller was fit his whole life, and look what happened to him. And I'm like, yeah, but Joe was not an athletic fit. He was a lifting fit. Like, he was like, he didn't have the athletic muscles. So it's different. It's just hard for young fans to understand boxing. And the main thing I hear is, you got knocked out by Fuzi, the human punching bag. And I'm like, yo, that was 2 years ago, guys. And that was my first spar ever. Wait.
I guarantee if I don't know who's the best boxer in the world, if Canelo took that right hand from Fuzi, he would have gone down too, right? It was a freak shot that lands. It wasn't anything that you could. I think everyone at the time kind of said that as well, that it wasn't exactly indicative of either of your skills. Yeah,
and then everybody says I have a glass jaw, but I mean, if Canelo got hit by it, he got some neck muscles. I'm sure he'd be fine. But my chin was up in the air, my hands were out, and like, it was just a clean, open shot. And any YouTuber would have been knocked out by that. It's just, I just wasn't where I should have been mentally, and even physically. I should not have been in the ring with somebody 30 pounds heavier than me, who was almost done with his training camp. And so.
Who is going to be your corner for this fight?
I have my coach Ramon, and then the rest of my team. So there's going to be about three people in my corner with me.
Okay. Is Ramon, does he coach professionals as well?
Yeah, he's coached multiple professionals. His main fighter is, I believe, 12-1 or 13-1 right now. And the only way that I believe, like, Deji's only chance of beating me is if nerves get to me. So I looked up online. I'm like, man, how do I how do I get used to that? Like everybody says you can't get used to that. When you get in the ring, like how are you supposed to get used to that? So I've cornered so many fights. The past few months I've been cornering fights, like for my friends' professional fights, for their friends' professional fights. I'm like, yo, let me be in your corner just so I can get that experience being in there. So I'm in there and my whole job is to wipe down their gloves and like fix their hair. But it's just something, it's the only thing I could think of to get used to that, other than the sports psychologists I've been talking to and like meditation and breathing I've been working on. I just want to make sure that I'm fully prepared for that moment, for those 18 minutes I've been preparing for the last 4 or 5 months of my life.
Who's the 12-1 guy? Who's this fighter? Have I heard of him? Has he?
Vlad Cannon.
Sorry?
Vlad Cannon. He's a professional boxer. He's a really good friend of mine. He'll be in my corner as well.
Okay, far. Yeah, I think I've heard of him before. Has he fought on some?
If you look him up, he's on my Instagram all the time. If you look him up,
did he fight on PBC at one point, or am I thinking of someone else?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Anywho, it's fantastic that you're training with a lot of great pros, and I can't wait for this fight. And look, it's cool that you're cornering people. That's something that, you know, I was speaking to just a couple of weeks ago, Conor McGregor's coach, John Kavanagh, and he was a big exercise he does with guys who are just turning pro is he makes sure that they've cornered at least one other pro for, you know, a fight. So it sounds to me from what you're saying like you're embracing a lot of things that are important in combat sports that the average fan wouldn't necessarily know about.
Yeah, and it's a good thing. I took a break from YouTube, and when I took a break from YouTube end of last year, Deji reached out to me and he wanted to box, and I was like, oh my God, I have nothing stopping me from focusing on boxing completely, because YouTube is a lot of work, especially if you're posting like 2 to 3 times a week. That takes up a lot of your time. But I've had nothing except for boxing for the last while. So I'm as ready as I'm ever going to be, and I've never been more prepared for anything in my life.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on and giving us a bit of your time. And I can't wait for this fight. I can't wait to go over and see who wins. It's a fascinating matchup. And hopefully, maybe our next interview will be post-fight at Wembley Arena, hopefully with a W in your corner, right?
All right. I'll see you there.
Cheers, man. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right. Talk to you later.